What makes the bankruptcy means test complicated? Imagine trying to solve a puzzle where some pieces are hidden, some are standard sizes, and others change shape depending on where you look. That's what the bankruptcy means test feels like for many people. It's not just a simple calculation, it's a process filled with steps that can trip you up if you're not careful. First, you need to figure out your income over the past 6 months. This sounds easy, but it's tricky because you have to include every source of income, like wages, bonuses, and even some benefits. Then, you compare that total to your state's median income for your household size. If your income is below the median, you can move forward with Chapter 7 bankruptcy. But if it's above, things get more complicated because you have to do a second calculation. That involves figuring out your disposable income by subtracting allowable expenses from your current monthly income. Here's where it gets confusing. The expenses you can claim are not just what you actually spend. Instead, the court uses standardized amounts set by the Census Bureau and the Internal Revenue Service for your state and family size. If your real expenses are higher, you need to prove they are reasonable and necessary with receipts and bills. Otherwise, the court will stick with the lower standard, which might make your disposable income look higher than it really is. Also, the process requires a lot of documentation. You need detailed records of your income and expenses from the past 6 months. Many people don't keep these records organized, making it hard to gather everything quickly. Plus, you only have 14 days after filing your case to submit your forms. Missing that deadline can cause delays or errors. Then there are the dollar thresholds used to decide your bankruptcy path. If your disposable income over the next 60 months exceeds about $250 a month, you might be pushed into Chapter 13. But that amount can change depending on how much unsecured debt you owe. The tension between standardized expenses and your actual costs adds another layer of difficulty. If you live in a high-cost area or have legitimate expenses above the standard, you must prove this with evidence. Without proper proof, the court will use the lower standard, which could make your disposable income seem higher. Lastly, the means test only applies if most of your debt is consumer debt. If your debt is mainly from a business or taxes, you might not need to go through this process at all. But figuring out what counts as consumer debt can sometimes be confusing. And if your income has recently changed, the 6-month look-back period might not reflect your current financial situation. If your income is dropping, the test might overstate your ability to pay. If it's rising, it might underestimate it. Courts also have some discretion to adjust calculations if you have extraordinary expenses or special circumstances. But knowing when and how to ask for these adjustments requires legal knowledge. All these factors make the means test a complex process that can be hard to navigate alone. That's why many people find it helpful to work with a bankruptcy professional who understands all these moving parts.